Okay, so today I would like to talk about pain, specifically two cases of pain disorders that cause problems for our common sense definitions of pain and why that matters. So what even is pain? So pain is just the transduction of nociceptive signals that are interpreted as a painful event in our brain. And throwing a definition around this has been something that philosophers, biologists, and neuroscientists have, struggled to make sense of for decades. One such, Daniel Dennett, in a paper, Why You Can't Make a Computer That Feels Pain, argued that our very definition of pain is inherently problematic, that it's inextricably bound up in our ethical intuitions, our senses of suffering, our obligations, and even our sense of evil. And at the same time, we're forced from the other side of the argument, from intuition, that is that someone on a desert island with none of these can still experience pain, albeit perhaps some different form of a pain if it was bound up in these ethical intuitions, our senses of suffering, obligation, and evil. So the two problems that we're faced with our definitions is being able to discriminate a painful event mean you're in pain? Is that the necessary condition for being in pain, just being able to sensorily discriminate what it is that is causing you that pain? Or is feeling as if you were in pain without being able to discriminate that pain mean you're in pain? Are both of these cases suspect, or are they both painful events? Common sense would say that they're both abstract problems that are just worrying philosophers. And in Feeling Pain and Being in Pain, a book by Grahek shows that these are actual clinical cases, and they're actually causing problems that threaten our common sense definition of pain. So the first case is pain without painfulness, also known as pain asymbolic. So this can be caused by damage to the posterior insula or the parietal operculum, which results in pain asymbolic. So the disorder is characterized by being able to discriminate sensory modalities that cause pain or normally cause pain, but not being able to care about the pain. And this is not to be confused with some pain disorders that some people have pain disorders where they can't discriminate high intensity pain, sharp, pricking pain. They can't discriminate that, but they can still discriminate dull pain and still care about those types of pain. This is a complete, while they can't care about the high intensity pains because they can't discriminate it, they can still care about lower order pain, which cases of pain asymbolic is not the case. They simply can't care about any pain. And this can lead to quite comical interactions with experimenters and patients, where experimenters jab, poke, and burn patients, and the patients remain cordial. They thank experimenters after they stick them with a needle or burn them with a lighter. And when the experiment's over, they get up and bow and cordially thank the experimenter and leave. And we can also see this with instances of frontal lobotomies and morphine administration. Daniel Dennett once said that morphine administration is similar to a temporary lobotomy. People who have lobotomies are, at least in the long term, not able to care about pain. They can bring their attention to care about pain, but they don't really care about it. They can discriminate it but not really care about it. The affect, the emotional valence, what the pain means, what the sensory information means, is highly dampened. The second order processing of the pain information. That is how this is similar to pain asymbolic. And you will get these patients saying things like, I can feel the pain, but I don't care about it. And the second case here, painfulness without pain. So experimenters painfully stimulate patients' arms, and they're unable to consciously perceive or even detect what kind of sensory information is being transduced in their arm, simply for the fact that they have no sensory neurons extending into their arm. But they're able to detect that there is something painful happening to them. The sense of unpleasantness is still there. And they're able to demonstrate the appropriate response, such as withdrawal, but they're not able to even tell you if it's something sharp, if it's something hot, if it's something, anything. They can't say what type of pain it is. They can only describe the unpleasantness. And this unpleasantness is what was totally absent in the previous case with pain without painfulness. So the International Association for the Study of Pain has worked tirelessly to come up with definitions of pain. They recently, in 2020, revised their definition. The old definition was an unpleasant sensory and emotional experience associated with actual or potential tissue damage, or described in terms of such damage, whereas the new definition is an unpleasant sensory and emotional experience associated with or resembling that associated with actual or potential tissue damage. So this is problematic because unpleasantness and sensory and emotional are wound up in the definition the IASP has laid out. And this causes problems when we think about the two cases, because one case has sensory discrimination but no emotional valence, and the other one has emotional valence but no sensory valence, sensory discrimination rather. And by these lights, both cases don't meet the requirements for being in pain, because unpleasantness and sensory are wound up in the definition. You might think that this is pretty academic or not important, but we should understand that being denied that you're in pain is inherently dehumanizing. It's a denial of a first-person lived experience, which is something that is very cuts at the core of who you are. So the moral status of types of pain. Which example, pain without painfulness or painfulness without pain, is more morally relevant? Which would it be more wrong to induce pain in which case? Intuitively, most people pick the patients who actually can sensorily discriminate pain but are unable to care about it, pain without painfulness. This elucidates our common sense definition of pain, that we have to care about it. You can't be in pain if you don't care about it. That's something that is not. The sensory element is something that is not necessary or sufficient for pain. And this is important moving forward because we should have understandings of which types of pain are morally relevant, because researchers conduct pain research on all types of animals. Being able to look from the outside and determine which types of pain are actually relevant to the organism are going to drive which types of animals are ethical to actually conduct pain research on. For instance, insects have not been thought to experience pain, but recently it's come out that they can exhibit chronic pain after injury. This might be evidence for some actual experience of pain. And if this was the case, it would allot a higher moral status to insects than what was previously given to them. So I hope this shed some light on the topic of what pain is and why the definition is hard to get our heads around, and maybe get us thinking about certain types of, get us thinking about which animals we should be conducting pain research on. Thanks.